Hello, I'm Danusia Malina-Derben, host of Parents Who Think. In this episode, I'm joined by Stuart Lawrence, educator, author, father, and the younger brother of Stephen Lawrence, whose racist murder in 1993 changed the course of British history. But Stuart's story isn't just one of loss. It's about choosing to lead, to educate, and to speak up again and again, long after the headlines fade. We talk about what it means to carry on when justice is slow, when institutions fail you, and when your very existence becomes politicised. Stuart shares what it's like to raise his own son in the aftermath of trauma, how he discovered his own path as an educator and author, and why silence is never an option. This conversation isn't about easy answers. It's about resilience, clarity, and refusing to let grief write your story for you. Here's Stuart.
What was it like being by yourself and suddenly making the choice to step up to effectively being the oldest child?
So being by myself at secondary school was great, because one of the things that used to happen to me when I was in the secondary school with Stephen, and also in junior school, you get compared quite a lot, Oh, why are you not like Stephen? Why are you not as good as him?
Oh.
Yeah, he can do that completely, that sort of thing. So that used to really frustrate me quite a lot. But when I moved secondary schools and I went to Eaglesby Secondary School, which was an all-boys school, I just found my purpose and I found my drive, and I really loved school. And I thought it was such a brilliant environment where I would go, I would learn. I think life was quite simple. And then after Stephen had passed, that transition point was really, really hard. My driver for things was to always ask myself, what would Stephen want me to do?
Yes.
How would Stephen want me to act? He was still with me and still helping me because he gave me a great 16 years start, But it was hard. It was hard in cases. And I haven't checked in with my sister recently, but I hope I've done an okay job of being an older brother and setting an example for my younger sister to follow after.
What was Stephen like?
He was really good at everything. He seemed to be a lot more charming than I ever did. He seemed a lot more handsome than I ever did. He was just really good at everything. It was hard to live in a shadow of him in that sense. But as I said, I adored him. I just wanted to be like him. I really did. So yeah, it was difficult in places, and I was that annoying little brother who, when he was trying to be super cool, would be hanging around his ankles, and he would never reprimand me in front of people. He'd always ensure that I felt I wasn't being a nuisance to, but by ourselves, he would kindly remind me of how much a nuisance I was being of him and everything. But yeah, it was great to have him around, and he was a great person. And I've still yet to date to meet anyone that has a negative thing to say about him.
Yeah, I can hear even now the kind of adoration in your voice, and it's really wonderful. Tell me about the tireless campaign, the justice that your whole family has pioneered, and all the changes. I mean, there's so much, isn't there? But give us the flavour of this.
I must say as well, you've got to understand, Dad's from Jamaica, my mum came from Jamaica. My mum came over when she was quite young, through her mum coming over here. My dad came over when he was 18 as a skilled worker. So, these are people of the fabric of the country who, we didn't understand certain levels of it. We didn't understand how the criminal justice system worked. We didn't understand how home office work or the police work, right? We never had any of those dealings of those institutions. So our knowledge was really, really bare and minimal at the start of all of this. And I say to people all the time, it's come to find out and realize that in life, to achieve anything meaningful, you usually have to pick one thing, and you really just have to keep that laser focus on that one thing. And so for my mum and dad and us as a family, it was just getting justice for Stephen. That was our steely focus in the beginning part of our journey. We didn't understand when we gave over the 6 names to the police the next day, that on the next day after that, on the TV, we didn't see them being arrested. We just didn't compute in our mind, first of all. Why? Hold on. We've told them. They've had phone calls. We've had people turn up to the police station. We've had notes through our door. We've reported all this to the police. Why haven't they gone out there and arrested these people? Sort of thing. But for us, that was really confusing at first. And yeah, we've struggled. There was a number of times where we thought that we was going to achieve something. We thought that we was going to get somewhere, and the door was firmly slammed in our face. We didn't get the outcome that we wanted to get. So those blows to us as a family was absolutely hard to swallow. It really was.
Where did you find your resilience from during this process?
I suppose it goes back to that steely focus that you need to have.
Yes.
So, my mum, bless her, she had that. And that's what's been instilled from us from a very young age. It comes back to this mantra that she used to say to us, which is, treat others like how you'd like to be treated.
Yes.
And for me, as a young child, that was a hard concept to get my head around, treat others like how you'd like to be treated. As I've grown and understood now, this is the same mantra or thread that runs through all cultures, all religions. There is some aspect of this, talking about how if you're a good person and you're outwardly good to others, then in return, you should face or receive good things coming onto you as well.
But it's not the case, is it?
That is the huge injustice, and that's where I questioned things for a long time, especially because we went to church every Sunday. My mum was hugely, my mum and dad was hugely religious. So for me especially afterwards, that was a huge confusion, stumbling block, mystifying thing. And I questioned myself. Maybe it's because I was a bad person. Maybe it's because I did things wrong. Because it's really hard for me at a younger age to compartmentalize that stuff and understand that no, it wasn't something that I did. It's just the way that society in the world is. And we have to know and understand that, again, there's other adults that say talk a good games, but then behind the scenes, they're doing something totally different. Again, that was a bit of learning and understanding that not everyone that says the right thing is always doing the right thing. But I have to try and have the element of hope in my head that if I was to continue this mindset of doing good things and good things will happen to you, speaking good things was good, then if we can encourage the young people to continue to do that, then surely we're on a pathway to actually righting from the wrongs that have been excused by us adults of the right things to do.
Silence is not an option. You can impact the world for change. Tell me more about it.
So my main work in life, most thing I spent most of the time about doing was teaching. I realised that teaching would be a great thing to contribute to and help other young people, because I remember what it was like to myself at school. There wasn't many black teachers when I was at school myself. I just thought, Joe, I'm going to buck the trend and be a difference maker there. And then once I got into it, I realised, A, what a great profession and career it was, but B, there were certain parts of the job I liked more than the others. And the pastoral side of it all, I really enjoyed. So just getting to know the kids and helping them and understanding them and navigating them, helping them navigate through life. And for me, year 7, 11-year-old kids, when they first came back in, it was a great magical year at a time for me, because you can really help and shape, mould minds, especially for the journey that they had coming up ahead of them. And how can I frame and set their mind? How can I give them this clean piece of paper and understand that what they did now could really help and shape them into adulthood? And all the things in the book are about those things they talk to kids about. So things about like working, what type of job you want to do. Is there anything you're really good at that you can then turn into something that you work into? About friends. Now, I enjoy telling them in year 7 that if you back around a classroom, and even though research them, and even though by the end of year 7, you're probably going to feel like they're all your best friends, by the time you leave school and get onto university, you probably won't talk to none of them ever again either. And they just sit around looking at each other going, what do you mean?
That must be odd for them.
Yeah, it is. But, and it's great and wonderful once they go through those experiences and they come back to you and say, oh, do you know, you were so right. Like, I didn't see it at the time, but I now see it now. That's about imparting those little nuggets, those little gems that I wanted to make their life and their journey as smooth and easy as possible. And I can't be there all the time. And that's why the book's a great thing now. But, there's a couple of little mantras I'd love to leave them with your listeners here. So the first one is one I come my phone all the time. So is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. We're all blessed with something that we're good at, or we're better than maybe seen to be better at someone else at. But that's all that it is. It's just the mindset at the beginning part of your journey. And if someone else wants to adhere to what you're good at, then they're going to work so hard to get there. And while they're working hard, you're just there sitting back in the glory of it all. And if you don't continue to work, they will surpass you. They'll go past you and be better than you. He's a bit of a keen footballer, and this analogy is so true of football. There's so many kids out there want to be professional footballers. They want to be the best. But it's those that get their heads down and just work consistently. Don't scream and shout about it. Don't run around telling people how good they are. People that get on and do the hard work, they're the ones that end up being professional footballers. They're the ones that, at the end, be there when the prize is to be picked up when it matters the most.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is about your attitude and your effort, about control as young people. There are two things you can definitely control: your attitude to things and how much you apply yourself. You might not be the best, you might not know it all. Having that attitude of wanting to try, I don't know any adult that won't want to help and support you along your plight if you have that. I just want to get better. I just want to know. I don't imagine any adult going, oh no, do you know what? I can't be bothered. Once they see someone's interest, I'm sure there is a few adults out there, and I'm trying to encourage those adults not to be that mindset. But I'm sure that in a majority sense, that there'll be a lot of adults there that'd be happy to help that young person along with their dreams, aspirations, and goals.
I can hear shades of your mum in this conversation, as your book, as you talk, like that hard work and that attitude. Really, she's just here in that, in as you speak. I can just feel her, by the way.
She's a phenomenal force, and she had such high aspirations for us all. She went back to university as a mature learner because she wanted to prove to us that you could go to university and become something and make something. And that probably is one of her proudest things to say, that me and Georgina went to university. The foundation of all her belief is that education is the rock stone or something, and you can build amazingness then. And it goes back to one of Nelson Mandela's famous quotes, which is, education is the most powerful weapon in the world, which you can use to change the world. It's always focused about to what you can do, the power of you. From how you drive yourself forward, and how you drive yourself. That's important, hugely.
And in your case, the excavation of what you can do from the context of deep grief, of tragedy, and despite that, obviously finding justice and changing the world in the process. That's what's,
changing the world part was circumvented by just us wanting to get justice for Steve, and then afterwards, my mum always said she didn't ever want another family, even though our other family's going through anything similar to what we've gone through. Also why she did it as well. And that's her plight now, in the House of Commons. Outside the House of Lords, though, she's really, that is her plight. So she works for us with Safer Children. She's always open and talking to people about different things. She's now on the anti-Semitism panel as well to try and sort of help her work out those issues. And so she's always on the plight of trying to help others. Which is then to stop often to us as well as children, I suppose.
Of course. And driven into that is hard work and applying yourself right the way through so that you can contribute to a more positive society, isn't it? It's like speak out, educate yourself, be a critical thinker, don't take things on surface, and use your voice for good. I mean, whatever you do, use it for good. Because you can make a difference.
I say the kids always about Greta Thunberg as well. There's someone who thought something, and her personal action has now turned to a global movement. One young lady at a very young age, but that's really determination of the environment is the most important thing that we need to get sorted now, and that's her mission and that's her goal. So there's lots of examples out there that we all just go, okay, cool, it can be done. But the hard bit is staying on that path, because there is so many distractions. There is so many people that are trying to push you in a different direction and way of the narrative to their own bidding. And that's a bit hard to just stay focused and go, do you know what? They are just distractions. I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to stop till I get to this mountain top. When I get there, then we can start to review and think of other things.
And that is, in a nutshell, what I can hear you describing as what your family has done since the passing of Stephen. That's it. It's such a privilege to hear you speak and to hear so much contribution that your family has given to this country and continues to do so. Thank you so much.
All right, pleasure.
What Stuart reminds us is that power isn't always about shouting loud. It's about showing up over and over with integrity. In a world that keeps asking the wrong questions, he keeps doing the hard work of offering better ones. If this episode stayed with you, take a moment, reflect, and remember, your voice matters, but what you do with it matters more. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and as ever, be kind to yourself. Take care, everyone.